woman I had been secretly in love with for 10 years fell for my roommate during our FaceTime call. She even asked me to help her win him over. Over the phone, her voice was as sweet and melodic as ever. I have never liked someone this much. Noah, please. But I did not hear a single hint of pleading in her tone. It was as if she already knew I would never say no. With me, she always held the winning hand. Anna and my roommate were kissing. They were completely wrapped up in each other, deeply affectionate and inseparable. I stood there staring at the scene, feeling as if my heart had been ripped open. The moment I agreed to help her pursue him, I had anticipated this happening. But now that it was right in front of me, I was still shocked and overwhelmingly devastated. The two of them were so focused on the kiss that they did not even notice me standing behind them. Come to my place tonight. Anna's voice was sickeningly sweet in the quiet night. My heart instantly dropped into an ice hole at her words, freezing completely. So they had already reached this stage. My roommate, Liam, playfully nudged her, his voice laced with a smile. What are you thinking about? I promised Noah I would help him look over his senior thesis tonight. They pressed their foreheads together and whispered for a while longer. Even from a distance, I could see how incredibly intimate and tender they were. After watching him head upstairs, Anna turned around and finally saw me. Noah. She dropped the smile from her face. I stiffly turned my head away, not daring to look at her. I tried my best to suppress my emotions and walked toward my dorm room. The impact of that scene was too much for me. Countless waves of bitterness and frustration flooded my heart, making it hard to breathe. I had stayed by Anna's side as a friend for exactly 10 years. I had never seen her show any affection to a guy. To me, she was always cold, rational, and so clear-headed that I sometimes wondered if she just saw me as a genderless playmate. That was the first time I'd ever seen her look so deeply in love. They had only known each other for 10 days. Just 10 days. Yet my secret crush on Anna had spanned 10 years, encompassing almost my entire youth. Back then, I messed up my college applications and could not get into the same university as her. I took a gap year to reapply. When I finally got accepted, a mistake in my enrollment paperwork forced me to go to a college in a different city, Los Angeles. Throughout college, we barely kept in touch. Now, her career was just taking off, and I was busy with my senior thesis. Our communication was pitifully scarce. Whenever I wanted to visit her, she would reject me without hesitation. Noah, I am really busy. Sometimes I could not resist FaceTiming her, but she would always hang up after a few words, claiming she had to work. I knew I had no right to complain. In her heart, I was just a friend she had known for a long time. That was until 10 days ago. Liam borrowed my phone to take a picture and accidentally swiped to a photo of Anna in my camera roll. His fingers paused. He smiled. This girl is gorgeous. Noah, do you know her? I clearly saw the intrigue in his eyes. I did not answer and barely managed to find an excuse to leave the room. Even though I knew they probably would never cross paths, I still lost sleep that night. An intense wave of crisis threatened to drown me. Liam was the undisputed heartthrob of our department. He had a strikingly handsome face and an effortless charm that caused a stir the moment he arrived on campus. But he always had a careless attitude, blowing hot and cold, keeping people at arm's length. For 4 years of college, no one really caught his eye. I never expected him to take an interest in Anna over a single photo. What I expected even less was that when I finally gathered the courage to confess my feelings to Anna, she would fall in love at first sight with Liam through the screen during our FaceTime call. I remember how bright her eyes were at that moment. Her eyes curved into a smile, hiding her usually sharp edges. Her gaze held only one person. I knew that look all too well. It was love at first sight. The day after that video call, Anna actively reached out to me, asking me to help her pursue Liam. Over the phone, her voice was as sweet and melodic as ever. I have never liked someone this much. Noah, please. That was the first time she had ever begged me for anything. It was also the first time she called me by my first name so softly. But I did not hear a single hint of pleading in her tone. It was as if she already knew I would never say no. With me, she always held the winning hand. Realizing this, a wave of sourness and heavy sorrow surged up, spreading to every corner of my body. But what could I do? I could not stop her from liking someone else, just like I could not stop myself from liking her like a fool. I agreed. I agreed to play matchmaker for her and my roommate. I agreed to play this ridiculous role. Everything progressed naturally after that. Because of me, they exchanged numbers and texted late into the night every day. She always told me she was too busy to talk. Yet Anna took 3 days off work specifically to come see Liam. Today was their first official date. Judging by what I just saw, the two were already glued to each other. Sure enough, the moment I pushed open the dorm door, Liam's voice rang out. "Noah, we are officially together." "That is great," I replied softly, pretending nothing was wrong as I sat down at my desk. I opened my laptop to edit my thesis. I had to type the word "I" several times before getting it right. Liam's tone was full of laughter. "It is all thanks to our great matchmaker." My hands tightened on the keyboard. My heart ached sharply, and my fingertips trembled. Yes, I was the one who brought them together. I was the one who told Anna all of Liam's preferences and suggested topics for their conversations. I was also the one who told Liam that Anna had never been with anyone else and was deeply devoted to him. Over these 10 days, I watched helplessly as Anna showered Liam with care. I watched Liam smile involuntarily whenever he talked about her. I watched them fall in love bit by bit. Many late nights, I buried my head deep under my covers, but I could still hear the voice notes from her on Liam's phone. "Be good. Do not stay up too late. Good night." Her voice was slightly muffled, laced with a smile, and her tone was sweet and gentle. It was a level of pampering and intimacy I had never experienced. In that moment, I clearly realized I regretted it. I even thought that if I had lied to Anna and told her Liam already liked someone else, her pride would have made her give up. Then maybe I would still have a chance. "To thank you." Liam walked up behind me at some point and affectionately patted my shoulder, pulling me out of my thoughts. "Anna and I decided to treat you to dinner tomorrow." "Noah, you will not say no, right?" My heart skipped a beat. My immediate instinct was to open my mouth and decline, but Liam did not give me the chance. "Anna is heading back to her corporate job the day after tomorrow. Once I get my diploma next month, I am moving straight into her place. If nothing unexpected happens, the three of us will rarely get to see each other after this dinner." Saying this, Liam patted my back again, his tone very relaxed. "Noah, this is her idea too." If I still held onto a sliver of hope last night, I now understood exactly what Anna meant. Inside a bustling seafood boil restaurant near campus, the spicy garlic butter sauce was steaming hot. Anna was peeling shrimp for my roommate. She lowered her head slightly, her slender fingers cleanly and efficiently removing the heads and tails. Every movement was focused. I suddenly remembered that Anna was a germaphobe. She especially hated the sticky, slimy feeling of peeling shrimp. It usually made her feel disgusted. Last year for her birthday, I drove 4 hours to see her. I bought a cake and clumsily but earnestly cooked a table full of food, ending up burning my hand in the process. When Anna saw my red, swollen hand, her eyes were complicated. "Noah, if you do not know how to cook, you do not have to." But before I could speak, she pulled my hand over and gently applied ointment to my burn. Anna was rarely that gentle with me. I was a bit dazed and at a loss for what to do. Looking at the plate of boiled shrimp on the table, I asked her on a whim, "My hand hurts. Could you help me peel some shrimp later?" Anna frowned and refused without hesitation, her eyes even carrying a hint of reproach. "Noah, you know I'm a germaphobe." That one sentence completely changed the atmosphere. Normally, I would not have minded. But that day, I did not know what came over me. I just felt a stomach full of grievances, and my tears fell completely out of control. In the end, ignoring my injured hand and enduring the burning pain, I peeled that entire plate of shrimp myself. Anna just stood to the side, watching me in silence. She tried to say something a few times, but ultimately said nothing. I pulled my thoughts back from the memory and watched Anna place the peeled shrimp right within Liam's reach. She wiped her hand with a wet wipe and then slowly looked over at me. Meeting her gaze, I finally understood that she was doing this intentionally for me to see. The burn from last year left a small scar, and it also left a rift between us. Now, Anna was personally tearing open that scar and pouring salt on the bloody wound, all to make me give up completely. She had known about my feelings for her early on. She knew I saw her as more than just a friend. By inviting me to dinner and peeling shrimp for Liam right in front of me, she was using this method to tell me to stop having wishful thinking and to stop intruding on her life. A spot in my heart ached sharply. I lowered my head to avoid her gaze, the hand holding my fork trembling slightly. That meal felt incredibly long. No matter how much they showed off their affection, I kept my head down and barely spoke. It was not until a sudden commotion erupted nearby that I looked up. I saw a girl, her face flushed red, apologizing to Anna. The gist was that her table was playing truth or dare. She lost and had to get the number of the most handsome guy in the room. She did not know my roommate had a girlfriend. Anna looked furious, but could not lash out in public. Knowing she was in the wrong, the girl muttered a few more apologies and awkwardly walked away. I turned my head to look at Liam. He always loved spicy food, but could not handle it very well. Right now, his handsome face was slightly flushed, fine beads of sweat forming on his smooth forehead, and his lips had a glossy sheen. Many people in the restaurant were casting subtle glances his way. Several girls still had eager looks in their eyes. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of slender, graceful figure slowly walking toward our table. The corners of my lips curled up, and the knot of frustration in my chest seemed to dissipate a bit. Youth really gives people courage. Even after seeing someone else fail, she still wanted to try her luck. My heart stirred, and I looked at Anna again. Sure enough, her face darkened once more. I suddenly felt amused. I put down my fork, rested my arms on the table, and fully adopted the posture of a spectator. Then I watched as the girl, when she was only 3 feet away from Liam, suddenly pivoted. She walked right past him and stopped directly in front of me. I was startled. The girl stared straight at me. Her eyes were bright, and though she looked a bit nervous, her smile was pure. Hey, can I get a number? I froze for a second, instinctively glancing at Anna. I did not know if it was my imagination, but her face seemed even colder than before. For a moment, many thoughts and memories flashed through my mind. During this 10-year, one-sided pursuit, it was not that I never wavered. I had seen with my own eyes how Anna rejected guys who confessed to her. Her methods were clean and decisive, leaving almost no room for mercy. So, I carefully harbored my love for her, keeping it a secret, willingly playing the role of her gentle and reliable friend. But my burning passion never received the slightest response. All I ever got in return was her coldness and restraint. Over time, the pain and exhaustion of wanting something I could not have almost crushed me. Back when I found out I did not get into the same college as her, my long-suppressed emotions reached their peak. For the first time, I had the thought of giving up. She did not show up to our high school graduation dinner. When it ended, a female classmate confessed her feelings to me. After I rejected her, she looked disappointed, but still stubbornly offered to walk me home. I thought about it. Going to my house meant passing by Anna's house. For some reason, I agreed. The moonlight was beautiful that night. The girl walked beside me, trying every way to make conversation. I earnestly responded to every word she said. It was not until that familiar front gate came into view that I involuntarily stopped in my tracks. I looked up and saw Anna standing on her balcony, staring down at us coldly. After I got home, took a shower, and lay in bed scrolling through my phone, I realized someone had recorded the girl confessing to me and posted on Snapchat. It was too noisy to hear the audio. The video ended with me leaving the restaurant with her. My classmates were teasing me in the group chat. Right at that moment, I received an iMessage from Anna. Do you want to take a gap year? I immediately understood the hidden meaning behind her words. She wanted me to go to the same college as her. Even though she did not spell it out, in my eyes, this was the signal she was sending me. My heart instantly felt like parched earth receiving rain, yet also ached faintly. She always seemed to do this, giving me hope right after I had accumulated enough disappointment to leave. So, at this very moment, now that she had a boyfriend and was determined to use this dinner to draw a line between us, what did the signal in her eyes mean? Thinking of this, my breath hitched. I wanted to look closer to read her expression. But Liam suddenly leaned over, blocking part of my view, and intertwined his fingers with hers. Anna seemed to freeze for a moment, then looked down at him, the sharp edges of her face softening. In that instant, I suddenly realized that the very last shred of hope deep in my heart had been completely destroyed. Strangely enough, my heart felt a peace I had never known before. I lowered my eyes, withdrawing my gaze, and looked at the girl standing in front of me. Caught off guard by my contact, the girl grew even more nervous. She actually stumbled over her words and repeated herself. "Can I, pursue you?" Hearing this, the people watching burst into laughter. She did not seem to realize what she had said until someone nearby teasingly reminded her. "Chloe, you're the one hitting on him. Why are you asking him to let you pursue him?" She stared at me blankly, as if finally realizing her mistake, and her face instantly flushed red all the way to her ears. "I can." I interrupted her. This time, I did not look to see what expression Anna had on her face. Amidst the noisy chatter, I quietly watched Chloe. The red on the tips of her ears gradually spread to her neck. I smiled and could not help but repeat myself. "You can." I realized Chloe was truly the person who blushed the easiest out of anyone I had ever met. After I said those words, Chloe, sporting a face red enough to drip blood, grabbed my arm and pulled me out of the restaurant without another word. She then dragged me to the nearest dessert shop and ordered several pastries, lining them up in front of me. Under my astonished gaze, she lowered her eyes, gripping her spoon tightly. After a moment, she finally looked up, her lips curving into a smile. "I saw you were not eating much at the restaurant earlier. They say eating sweets puts you in a better mood." I looked at her and suddenly realized something. During that dinner I had wanted to escape from every single second, there was someone sitting not too far away, silently watching me the whole time. She saw my unspeakable awkwardness and embarrassment. She saw the loneliness and desolation I tried so hard to hide. So she took me away. I felt a string in my heart being plucked. Eating sweets really does make you feel better. My mood was great for the rest of the day. In the evening, Chloe and I walked together on the campus quad. The wind blew gently, and the setting sun dyed the clouds into layers of fiery red. Chloe carefully took my hand. I tilted my head to look at her, only seeing the clean profile of her face and her earlobes tinted red by the sunset. This good mood lasted until Anna sent me an iMessage asking where I was. I did not reply to her, nor did I ask anything else. I let out a deep breath, as if exhaling all the suffocating resentment I had harbored over the years. Chloe and I stayed out until late before I headed back to my dorm. After washing up, I started editing my senior thesis. I did not check my phone until I had completely finished revising it, adjusted the formatting, and emailed it to my professor. Chloe texted me at 11:30 at night, asking if I was free tomorrow. I hesitated for a second, then replied that I was. She quickly replied, "Good night." I paused and glanced at the time. It was currently 3 in the morning. I stared at that text for a moment, suddenly realizing something, and smiled. I drank a glass of milk and got ready for bed. That was when I noticed Liam's bed was empty, his blanket neatly folded. My roommate did not come back tonight. The next day, I slept in until 10 in the morning. After getting out of bed and washing up, I stood in front of the mirror and started fixing my collar. Just as I was applying some chapstick, I suddenly heard the sound of a key turning in the lock. Liam was back. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. My expression was calm, my eyes completely devoid of any turbulence. The last time I caught them kissing, my heart hurt so much I could barely breathe. It felt like my entire body had been dismantled and reassembled, my bones crushed and pieced back together. But last night, knowing they were together and likely doing even more intimate things, I felt nothing but a slight ache in my chest. The agonizing pain I had imagined never came. I even fell asleep shortly after and had a dreamless night. I was not sure if this meant I had finally let go of Anna and freed myself, but I knew it was a good start. I pressed my lips together to blend the chapstick. Liam's slightly exhausted voice came from behind me. She went back to the city. I turned around and noticed Liam looked pale and incredibly haggard. I looked at him in surprise and reached out to check if he had a fever. But Liam turned his head away, dodging my touch. I am fine. I frowned deeply. Liam stared at me, his voice somewhat strained as he spoke. I slept with her. I looked at him and did not say anything else. After a long time, a highly complex emotion appeared on Liam's face. Noah, is there a real chance between you and Chloe? I stayed silent, but I was seriously considering the possibility. After a moment, I looked up, met his gaze, and smiled. Liam froze slightly. The gloominess in his eyes faded, replaced by a profound sense of relief. When I went downstairs, I found Chloe waiting for me at the entrance of the dorm. She was holding coffee and bagels in her left hand and a breakfast sandwich in her right. Her slender figure stood there gracefully, drawing the attention of quite a few guys walking by. I walked over. When did you get here? Seeing me, Chloe lowered her long eyelashes and blushed. I've not been waiting long. She immediately added, I bought 2 different breakfasts. You pick first, and I will eat the other one. I glanced at them casually and said, I want the sandwich. After I said that, I paused. Chloe froze, her burning gaze landing on my face, and she blushed even harder. I did not expect Chloe to take me to the aquarium. The lighting inside was dim. Along the walkways were artificial kelp and coral, and various fish lingered near the glass tunnels, seemingly curious about the humans. I tapped the glass of a tank, and a tiny, transparent jellyfish quickly darted away. I could not help but smile. I turned my head to say something to Chloe, only to find her pointing her phone at me, taking a picture. I raised an eyebrow and leaned in. Let me see. It was a candid shot from the chest up. The guy in the photo was wearing a white button-down shirt. The exposed skin around his collarbone and shoulders had sharp, defined lines, contrasting beautifully with the blue seawater. A few strands of hair were slightly messy, giving it a natural, effortless look. It was obvious the photographer knew what they were doing. The lighting and angle were perfect. I turned my head and smiled. I did not know you were such a good photographer. My words came to an abrupt halt. Chloe's eyes were deep. She was looking at me from a very close distance, so close that I could feel her tense body, her warm breath, and the pleasant scent she wore. Suddenly, my face felt hot, and my breathing quickened. Around 6:30, Chloe and I decided to take the bus back to campus. The windows were open, and the sound of the rushing wind filled my ears. My mind kept flashing back to the moment when Chloe's lips were about to press against mine, only for her to restrain herself and turn away. She had been breathing slightly heavily, earnestly telling me that she could wait. When I finally could not help but turn my head, I found Chloe sitting up perfectly straight, staring straight ahead, looking like a model of perfect composure. I also remembered how, after getting back to my dorm last night, I specifically searched her name on the college confession page. I found a ton of posts from guys confessing their crushes on her, along with detailed posts about her background, including the competition she had entered and the award she had won. I watched her for a moment before suddenly speaking up. Why do you like me? Chloe did not seem to expect me to ask this and was taken aback. I stared into her eyes and bit my lip. You are amazing. Why would you like me? Chloe's beautiful brows furrowed tightly. Her face took on a serious expression I had never seen before. Noah, why would you think of yourself like that? I looked at her without speaking. Chloe pressed her lips together, staying tense for a good while before sighing. The first time I saw you was not at the restaurant. It was at the aquarium. I live near there. Chloe hummed softly and continued in a low voice. That day, you were holding 2 ice cream cones, seemingly waiting for someone. I watched your expression go from hopeful to disappointed. Your eyes were red, but you were holding it in. Then a little boy accidentally bumped into you. He held his nose and started crying loudly from the pain. You squatted down, frantically grabbing tissues to wipe his tears. As you wiped his tears, your own tears started falling uncontrollably. Just like that, you and the little boy cried while wiping each other's tears. When you both cried until you had no energy left, you shared the ice cream cones. The vibe he gave off back then. Chloe paused, thinking of something, and her face turned red again. You looked so pitiful, yet so cute. I lowered my eyes, my face inexplicably feeling hot. I remembered now, and I happened to be in town for a business trip. Before she headed back, she promised to carve out some time to go to the aquarium with me. I waited for her with a heart full of joy for a long time, only to receive a text canceling on me. Sorry, I woke up late. I am heading to the airport early, so I do not miss my flight. Anna never disrupted her plans for me. I looked up at Chloe. I just never expected her to have known me since then. Chloe met my gaze openly, her eyes gentle. Later, when the business school hosted a seminar, I saw you speaking on stage. That was when I found out you were Noah, a senior finance major. It was past 9 by the time I got back to my dorm. The lights were off, and it was pitch black. Liam seemed to have gone to bed exceptionally early today. I did not turn on the lights. I closed my eyes and buried my face in my pillow, the surging emotions inside me almost impossible to control. Today, I finally realized that during all those years of chasing after Anna, I had always felt inferior. Even when I did everything right, her repeated coldness, neglect, and sudden whims left me mentally and physically exhausted. I constantly doubted and negated myself, like a bug trapping itself in a cocoon, sealing myself off completely, cowering in the dark without a sliver of light. I never imagined someone named Chloe would appear and slowly, earnestly tell me, "You are great. Why wouldn't I like you?" A spot in my heart felt as if it had been warmed, and that warmth slowly spread through me. I took a deep breath, sat up, and opened Instagram. I posted a story with the caption, "You are great too," accompanied by the photo Chloe took of me today. Within seconds, I received an iMessage from Anna. "You took her to that aquarium?" This was immediately followed by a second text. "Are you two together?" The interrogation in those two sentences was glaringly obvious, even carrying a subtle hint of jealousy. My heart skipped a beat. The next second, Anna called me directly. Looking at the caller ID on my screen, a number I knew so well it was carved into my bones, I frowned. In the past, if she sent me even the most half-hearted text, I would be thrilled for half the day. Now that she was actively calling me, I felt a strange resistance. It seemed I had lost all interest in even speaking to her. I stared at the number for a few seconds, then silently pressed decline. The phone rang a few more times, and I rejected it without hesitation every time. After a few rounds of this, I grew impatient and texted her, "I am in my dorm. Your boyfriend is sleeping." That sentence acted like some sort of switch. Anna finally stopped. Over the following weeks, Chloe and I grew closer. We ate together every day, studied at the library, walked around the campus, and went to see new movies. Gradually, I became more and more comfortable with her. Now, even sitting in silence did not feel awkward, yet when we talked, we always had endless things to say. Our relationship was just one unsaid confession away from being official. On the contrary, something seemed to have gone wrong between Anna and Liam. I rarely saw them on FaceTime anymore. The clingy affection from before had vanished like a receding tide. Liam acted like nothing was wrong, laughing and joking around, but I heard his muffled sobs late at night on several occasions. I could roughly guess why. After hesitating again and again, I took Anna off my blocked list and called her. The call connected quickly. Hearing her slightly hoarse voice, the speech I prepared got stuck in my throat. She said, "Noah, you are finally willing to answer my calls." I felt a wave of dizziness. I used to say that exact phrase to her all the time. But back then, my tone was much more cautious and helpless, as if I had crushed my pride and self-esteem into dust, humbling myself to the dirt. Thankfully, someone showed up just in time and pulled me out of it. The image of Chloe's delicate, gentle face flashed through my mind, and I unconsciously smiled. "Noah, are you listening?" Anna's voice grew even hoarser. I snapped back to reality. "What did you just say?" The other end went silent. I thought for a moment, then said calmly, "Anna, I loved you for 10 years. Heavy breathing came through the receiver. After a moment, Anna finally spoke. I know, even though I had guessed it long ago, hearing her admit it out loud still made my chest ache violently, as if pierced by a blunt object. It was not because of her, but for my own pathetic joke of a 10-year crush. I took a deep breath, my tone firm. But since that dinner, I realized I do not have feelings for you anymore. Now, I only wish the best for both of you. And someone has appeared in my life who I want to hold on to tightly and never let go. I sighed softly and continued. Anna, we should all cherish the people right in front of us. This time, Anna stayed silent for much longer. Just when I thought she would not speak again, she slowly asked me in a tone that sounded almost relieved and certain. Noah, are you dating her just to get back at me? I was genuinely stunned by her question. It was not guilt, nor the embarrassment of having my thoughts seen through. I was just trembling with sheer frustration. I wondered just how pathetic and devoid of dignity I must have been over the past 10 years for Anna to so naturally assume I would sacrifice my own relationship just to take revenge on her. Even though I blocked her again right after she said that, I still felt incredibly suffocated. A few days later, Chloe and I were walking back from a movie. As we neared my dorm, that sentence flashed through my mind again. In a moment of distraction, I tripped over a rock. My knee buckled and I almost fell. Thankfully, a pair of hands steadily caught me. Meeting Chloe's worried gaze, I smiled at her. Just then, a sharp pain shot up from my ankle, and I instinctively gasped. I had sprained it. Chloe frowned and nodded. Chloe helped me to a nearby bench and lifted my foot to check the injury. Luckily, it was not dislocated. Noah, let me rub it for you. Before I could react, I felt a cool touch on my ankle. She gently held my ankle, her fingers massaging it with a soft, rhythmic motion that sent a slight tingling sensation up my leg. I let out a short breath. Chloe suddenly paused. I could not help but feel my face heat up. Eventually, the pain in my ankle slowly faded. I heard Chloe ask in a low voice, "Does it still hurt?" "No, it does not." I spoke, only to realize my voice was a bit hoarse. Chloe seemed to smile. She gently put my foot down and looked up at me. Under the moonlight, her eyes were deep, her nose straight, and her lips red. Her gaze was open and intensely focused. I looked at her, and a thought suddenly popped into my head. I am done for. I do not know who initiated it, or who responded to whom. In the blink of an eye, my arms were wrapped around her neck, and her hands were holding my waist. This was her first kiss. I do not know how much time passed. She pulled back slightly, breathing heavily. The gaze she fixed on my face was so scorching it felt like it could melt me. A nerve in my brain completely snapped with a pop at her soft whisper. I opened my mouth to say something, but my arm was suddenly grabbed by a small hand, forcefully yanking me off the bench. I groaned in pain and turned my head, locking eyes with a pair of familiar, bloodshot eyes. To be honest, seeing Anna there genuinely surprised me, especially since her face was pale with rage, her eyes full of shock and anger, as if I had done something to betray her. I just found it absurd and laughable. She was so used to my unconditional devotion for the past 10 years, so used to my selfless kindness. Now that I was no longer submissive and compromising, now that my eyes are no longer looking at her, she was upset. What was even more ridiculous was that she could distance herself from me, ignore me, and draw boundaries, but she could not stand me actively pulling myself out of that hopeless obsession. It was as if she could not stand seeing me do well. An uncomfortable sensation spread from the arm Anna was gripping. I glanced down. It was already red. I tried to move my arm, but she gripped it even tighter, giving me no chance to break free. She stared at me for a moment, then shifted her gaze, glaring viciously at Chloe. The intense emotion in her eyes looked like she wanted to eat her alive. I frowned and stepped slightly sideways, shielding Chloe behind me. Anna froze for a second, her eyes growing even redder. After a long pause, she spoke in a hoarse voice. "Noah, we have known each other for 10 years. How long have you known her? And you are already protecting her like this?" I looked at her, my voice flat. "Chloe is my girlfriend." Anna instantly stiffened in place. I looked at her pale lips and reminded her, "You are gripping my arm really hard." Anna snapped out of it and slowly let go of my hand. The moment she released me, I lost my balance and stumbled to the right, falling right into Chloe's outstretched arms. A piercing pain shot up from my ankle bone. I glanced at my severely swollen ankle and realized that when Anna yanked me off the bench earlier, I might have actually dislocated it. I suddenly had the urge to laugh, and then I actually did. Anna stared at my ankle, clearly realizing what she had done. A flash of panic crossed her eyes. After a long time, her lips moved. I am sorry. I did not want to talk to her anymore. I tugged on Chloe's sleeve. Take me to the hospital. Chloe immediately nodded and crouched down in front of me. I will carry you. Just as I was about to climb onto her back, a hand abruptly reached out but suddenly stopped, the fingertips trembling just millimeters from my wrist. I looked up and met Anna's gaze. Those usually cold eyes now looked foolishly lost. After a moment, she pulled her hand back and spoke in a raspy voice. Noah, I will drive you to the hospital. I quickly declined. No need to trouble yourself. Thanks. With that, I leaned against Chloe's shoulders, wrapped my arms around her neck, and let her carry me. As we turned the corner, I glanced back at Anna. She was wearing a dress, standing completely still, watching us. She looked elegant, yet radiated a deep sense of desolation. We took an Uber to the nearest ER. The doctor popped my bone back into place and prescribed some medication for the swelling. He then cast a calm look over Chloe and me, instructing me to rest for the next 2 weeks and avoid any strenuous physical activity. My face was red the entire Uber ride back. I gently pressed my face against Chloe's back, feeling her body heat, and heard her say, Noah, you should move into my apartment for the time being. The doctor's words instantly flashed through my mind, and my heart started pounding. I'll live with you? Chloe paused her steps, her tone laced with a smile. I mean, your dorm is on the 4th floor, and with your foot like this, taking the stairs is not convenient. My apartment building has an elevator, and it is pretty nice. If you move in, I can take care of you during the day. As for the night, Chloe chuckled softly. I will sleep in my dorm. My face instantly turned beet red, and I let out a soft okay. By the time we got back to the dorm entrance, it was around 11:30. I did not expect Anna to still be there. She saw me and opened her mouth to say something, but I furrowed my brows and turned my head away. As we walked past her, Chloe suddenly spoke up. Noah, just pack a few clothes for tonight. I have everything else at my place. I will come pick you up tomorrow morning. I turned my head slightly and saw Anna's body violently flinch. Okay, I said. When I told Liam I was moving into Chloe's apartment, he was not very surprised. He just smiled and said Chloe was a great person. I looked at his face, which was gradually regaining its color, and asked, When did you guys break up? He seemed to know what I was going to ask. His face was calm, his eyes completely steady. I decided I did not like her any more the night she called you 13 times. I broke up with her the very next day. I was stunned. How did you know? I never even answered. Liam pressed his lips together and said, I accidentally noticed a while ago that you set a custom ringtone for her. Love story. I stayed silent. He smiled, but that ringtone never rang again after that. I figured you either changed it or blocked her. I nodded. That night, not only did I block her, but I also changed the ringtone back to default. Liam's gaze lingered on my face for a long time before he finally sighed softly. Noah, she does not deserve my love, and she definitely does not deserve yours. I have to say, Chloe really knew how to take care of people. At least, she knew how to take care of me. During the few weeks I stayed at her place, aside from prepping for my final thesis defense, all I did was play video games and eat her cooking. I actually gained a few pounds. I put down the mirror with a look of deep distress and looked up at Chloe, who was peeling an orange for me. She had been running back and forth between her dorm and the apartment these past few days and had lost some weight. Her jawline was sharp, and she looked indescribably beautiful. I blinked, lunged forward, and buried my face in her chest. Chloe, once my foot is completely healed, I seriously need to go on a diet. Chloe smiled non-committally and fed half a slice of orange into my mouth. That night, a sudden thunderstorm rolled in. Just as Chloe grabbed her umbrella to leave, I closed my eyes and said softly, Do not go back tonight. Chloe stared at me for a moment. Seeing that I was not going to add any regrets to my statement, her grip on the umbrella handle tightened, and she replied in a husky voice, Okay. In the middle of the night, I was woken up by a muffled clap of thunder. I turned my head. Chloe was still sleeping soundly beside me. I smiled and was about to go back to sleep when I noticed the window was not closed tight. A light drizzle was blowing in. Because Chloe was worried I might bump my foot, she had bought me a walking boot online. But my injury was not too severe, and after half a month, it was mostly healed. I did not need the boot to walk a few steps now. I put on my pajamas and walked over. Just as I was about to shut the window, I accidentally glanced down at the street below and saw a familiar figure. My fingers paused. The night was deep and shrouded in darkness. By the dim glow of the street lamp, I saw her pale face and the flickering cherry of a cigarette between her fingers. She was smoking. I had loved Anna for 10 years, and I knew she never smoked unless she was extremely frustrated or agitated. Lately, I had seen her lingering near my apartment every single weekend. She had so much free time it gave me the illusion she had lost her job. I knew Anna saw me too, but I had no desire to spare her another glance. I pulled the window shut, locking the cold rain and her completely out of my life.